Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with Alex King and Daniel Mangina. Today is Tuesday, March the 24th, 2020, 4 p.m. New York time. Wherever you are in the world, thanks for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And these daily doses are becoming more and more important as we get deeper and deeper into this coronavirus craziness that's been going on. Particularly now that so many people are in lockdown. And I'm glad that we have this to offer people. I mean, we're seeing it in the numbers. People are listening in really record numbers, which is great. And I just hope that keeps increasing because, you know, we need to have these positive influences, particularly when we consider what's going on in terms of fear levels and stress levels and so forth. Louis D'Souza and I were talking with Yona yesterday about how the stress levels have gotten so big that he described driving down an empty street and feeling just massive amounts of tension. And he said, I'm not empathic. Now that's kind of an important statement. Somebody who says, I'm not particularly empathic saying I'm feeling all this stress. So I wanted to make that kind of the topic for today and make it not just, the term I'm going to use comes from an article I found in the Harvard Business Review published about 3.5 years ago called Make Yourself Immune to Secondhand Stress. So I want to kind of co-opt that term, secondhand stress, and come up with some strategies for overcoming it and kind of make that our topic today if you guys are amenable to that. So first of all, Alex, how you doing?
Big word of the day.
She, that's right. She's got her headphones on, so she's ready. She's got her Pat's shirt on. I mean, she's live. She's awake. She's purple.
I don't know how much longer I'll be wearing this now that Tom Brady's gone, but we'll see what happens.
Yes. Well, yeah, if you're a Pats fan, I can see that's a bit of an upset.
Yeah. Oh, he's finished. I mean, wait. He's
a Buccaneer now.
Yeah, he signed with a new team.
What?
Yeah, I know. We're never going to a Super Bowl ever again.
Wait. But he was Pats for life.
Yeah.
Yeah, except the Pats didn't want to keep him for life.
Well, they didn't have enough money to.
Well, one or the other. The two
I
kind
don't
of go
believe
together.
that because
I didn't think it was money. I didn't think it was money led.
It was because he signed for I don't even know the amount, but it was an insane amount over down in Tampa Bay.
Which is interesting because I read
he
that
wanted to be away from the cold weather.
Well, that
would be my reason.
I can't rule that one out. But the only demand he made of the Buccaneers when he was in negotiations with them is that when he signed the contract, he wanted to have the phone numbers of all the players so he could call them up and start building relationships. So, I mean, his demands weren't really, really high when you come down to it. They were fairly low, actually. And certainly team player stuff.
That probably suits it. Maybe the culture had shifted at the Pats because sometimes when we get into a rhythm of a win, you know, we can change. It's like when people get rich, right? They say who you really are comes out. And maybe maybe culturally he fell out of alignment with them. I mean, they've been winning a lot and they didn't win last time.
Right.
Possibly that's what happened. And there was a cultural shift that he wasn't aligned with anymore and he had to bounce.
I think that's fair to say no matter how it all ironed out. He clearly was not in alignment and he left. I mean, regardless of what the cause was,
if he was alive,
make much difference.
He'll be there.
That's right. I mean, it's fairly straightforward. A leads to B, you know. So anyway, secondhand stress. I know this is something I've been feeling. I've actually been experiencing it each day. There have been times during the day I've just had to kind of shut down. I had it yesterday. I had it today. And I've been allowing myself to shut down and glad that I did it because then I, got back up, ready to go and feeling good. But I guess I just wanted to ask you guys, have you been experiencing anything like that? What strategies have you been employing to kind of get past all this secondhand stress we're all experiencing?
I just block it out.
I
have a no
pure
stress
denial.
wall. I have a no stress wall. No, Kenny tries to come to me. He's downstairs fear smoking and watching the news. I just stay out of the basement. And then when he calls me and he's like, hey, the governor just said, no, click. I was like, I don't want to hear any quarantine stuff. I don't want to hear nothing, unless it's detrimental to my life. Don't call me or tell me about it. I don't care.
That's an impressive strategy. Not easy to do. What was that, Daniel?
No, Jose, my dad started panic calling me. He texted me. He was in Zimbabwe, my family from Zimbabwe, and he spends most of the year there. And he got back to England on Friday, and since then has been incessantly texting everything coronavirus related. And when I don't reply his text immediately, he calls me. My dad doesn't call me to see how you're doing, but he's like,
really?
But he like, I could hear the panic in his voice, but my dad talks really slow. So you can hear the fear and trepidation, even in his slow voice. It's really funny. But
slow
like, he started like doing the bombarding my phone with forwarded stuff. And I was like, Dad, I love you, but please don't do it. Please stop it. And he called me. He's like, why don't you want to know? Are you okay? Is something wrong? I was like, no, Dad. No, Dad.
Like, nothing's wrong because I'm staying away from it. Yeah.
Just staying away from it. So, but do you know what's been the thing? I think we spoke about it last week when we were already speaking about it. It's this thing that it keeps coming up. Even my apps, every apps I'm using. Corona.
Oh, God.
And then people are polluting me with it from a positive perspective, but they're still talking about it. Like, a love letter from the coronavirus. Have you not seen that one?
No.
I'm dead.
What is Corona here to teach us? The message from the 12th dimension about coronavirus.
Some of my friends are talking about it. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Coronavirus is the earth fighting back. Nature will win.
Nature will win.
I was a lot stricter with it before. Now I'm just like, my mind's been polluted with it. I did a little mini class on my page yesterday about thought quality management, because I just reached the point personally where it's like, I just need to accept that I wasn't diligent enough in keeping it out. And now I need to just keep it as minimal as possible, like minimize the damage of it.
Yeah.
Because if I was really effective enough, then I would have really timeline jumped to a dimension where there was no more coronavirus, so it would have been healed. So, that's me. I'm just doing my best with it now.
I'm just living my best life right now.
So basically, similar to what Alex is talking about, blocking it, just not allowing it into your life.
Yeah, doing my best to do that. But you would have to go full hermit, I think, right now. I considered pausing all of my social media accounts, but then I kind of make my money online, so got to pay the bills. That's about it, really.
I considered it too, at least Facebook, because like it's not that bad on Instagram, but like then you put your TV on pause and your cable is like, oh, go to coronavirus.com or say coronavirus into your remote and we'll give you all the information. And I'm like, I can't get away from it.
Yeah.
But I can. If I just press play on my shows, I'm fine.
What shows?
Until the president starts talking and interrupts my show. And I'm like, dang it.
Yeah. Everyone, my family members, has gone into complete and utter total panic since they locked down England. Whenever they did. I'm just like, oh, God.
Not me. I'm like, I'm an introvert. This is like, I've been waiting for this all my life. This is the best time ever. I have really my toilet paper. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm happy about that too. But it's just
too.
The stuff. Stop.
Are you on lockdown? Do you know? I know me and Walt are.
Nah, all that's happened so far is like, I could show you, but I can't be bothered to get up. They've like taped off my swimming pool and the kiddie playground and my gym on my property.
Yeah,
but that's it. But we haven't really had cases here. Like it's not been.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think there's a correlation there.
Yeah, and it's the same with.
In my mind, there's a definite correlation. I mean, when I look at all the countries that are currently experiencing large, and by large I mean relative to their population, in other words, proportionally large influxes of the disease. There's a direct correlation between that and how much really negative attention has been given to it.
Yeah. But to be honest, I'm just saying attention full stop, bro. Even the positive attention. Let's come together and pray for Corona or stop giving it life. Anyway, now because it's here in my mind, it's just here now. So I'm just doing my best to ignore all of the negative and where possible, add to the positive. Because if people are going to focus on it, I'll at least let them have a positive experience with it.
Well, I'll tell you what, according to this article I found from 3.5 years ago from the Harvard Business Review, that's probably a pretty strong strategy. Because according to them, now they were writing about stress, particularly secondhand stress. Now they were writing in the context of, somebody who is visiting a family member in the hospital who's, got some dread disease and is nearing the end and so forth, and all the stresses associated with that, and how it can affect the other members of the family. But I think the basic ideas that they bring up are interesting. For instance, they point out that stress is usually associated as being a negative, and for good reason, because most often stress is something that's tied to something that we're focusing negatively about. We're focusing on stuff that we don't like. But they also point out, and I think quite rightly, that it all depends on how you take the stress. How do you respond to it? How do you react to it? Because one example they gave was, how do you answer your phone in a stressful situation? Do you answer the phone call by starting the conversation saying, I'm swamped or I'm so busy? Or do you take a breath and say, it's great to talk to you? Which way do you start it?
Depends on who it is. If it's someone who's already stressing you out, you already hung up on them 3 times. Like, what?
But Alex, they never,
like a little John, what?
They never get through to you anyway. You don't pick up the phone from them. So, it's not an issue,
No, I
is it?
always answer the phone because you never know when it's an actual emergency. I never answer the phone.
So there's actually a hole in the dike there.
Yeah.
But your click power's strong. Your click game is strong.
Big facts, bro. Click power strong.
Oh, it's not an emerg click.
Yeah. Like, listen, click. Tell you. Like, no, just no.
Did you hear from the click?
I missed the days of dial tones because it was so satisfying. And the physical hanging up of the slamming the phone on the thing.
Do you know what I would do when I need to just kind of bring people back to reality? And recognize that they will experience the dial tone unless they fix up. It's doo. Are you still talking? Here's your final try. Doo.
Hello, Daniel. Hello.
No, I do the click.
Oh, that's funny. That's good too. That's humor, because humor is a great way to combat all this stuff.
But every other time I answer the phone, I'm like, hi.
So aloha, and people ask if I'm in Hawaii. No, I just like the greeting.
Yeah,
it's a great greeting. It truly is.
Yeah, not just a greeting; it's everything. It's hello, goodbye, and thank you, and you're welcome. All that stuff. Aloha,
click.
That must be confusing. Aloha. Oh, okay. I'll call you later. What?
Well, that actually raises the second question I was going to bring in here about this, because there's these 2 different ways of looking at stressful situations, and when you brought it into phone calls, okay, maybe you've never even gotten this phone call, but I'm going to ask anyway. Have you gotten the phone call from the person who was kind of coming after you with all these fear-based stuff, and you finally pick up the phone and you do your thing about what, and they say, well, it's great to talk to you. Have you ever gotten that?
Like passive aggressively?
No, like they're talking about in this article. In this article, they say, which way are you going to answer the phone? Are you going to say I'm swamped or I'm so busy, or are you going to start calmly by saying it's great to talk to you? So I'm wondering, have you gotten that? Has somebody actually taken the more positive tack and gotten you on the phone for more than 5 seconds?
When I'm calling them, I'm confused with your question.
No, when they're calling you, when they're calling you.
When they're calling me. Okay.
Apparently, this is a rare situation, as I suspected, because she's really racking her brain trying to think of it.
No, that usually comes after the conversation when I'm getting ready to get off. I'm like, all right, it was great talking to you.
Yeah, so it's a sign off. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't get somebody who kind of reverses the psychology and says, okay, I know I'm freaked out about this thing. I need to talk to Alex about it, but I'm going to come on to her in a positive way so that she doesn't hang up on me immediately.
Well, it doesn't matter, because as soon as you start talking about the negativeness, I'm hanging up. You can start off with, oh, it's great to talk to you. How you been? Da, da, da. Did you hear about this corona? Click. Have you watched Contagion? Click.
Have you watched Contagion? Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm over it, guys. So over. I can't wait for this thing to be over. But then I'm kind of like not, because
we should make a new dance, the click.
Click. See, folks, this is why it's great. I love that we have so many people who are subscribed to the podcast, but it does pay to sometimes take a look at the YouTube, because if you just saw the dance that Daniel was doing, YouTube is the only way to do it justice. I mean, truly.
Beautiful dance. Beautiful, beautiful dance.
It was the dance of our people, the clickers.
The clickers.
The click walk.
Oh, not the click walk. Oh, what? Oh, we're dumb.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
So I'm going to get back to the article because, I mean, we need some sort of way to keep this relatively, rational.
That's your job. That's not our job.
I know you guys will go off with I'm the one who's got the outer space background, but you just go there. I mean, I don't know.
We're balls to the walls all day, every day.
No doubt about it.
Have you forgotten our hippo? We're off to other dimensions, so I'm a little jelly of you right now because it looks like you're on the
That's why I picked the background. That's why I picked that background.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you too can have a background just like this.
I've got it on my list. Anyway,
yeah, I'm Amazoning right now.
We await further direction from article, Mr. Walt.
I'm actually looking. Josephine's been posting up a storm in the live stream, and I'm looking at what she's saying there. I mean, she's got a whole bunch of stuff.
Hi, Josephine.
I mean, it's like
Josephine.
Yeah, I mean, Jeffrey's in there. Jeffrey's like being dominated.
Oh!
That's how extensively she's
I
ready
want to
here.
and see what's being said. I want to just quickly have a poke.
And she's actually addressing some of it to you. I'll read from the top. She says, as you said in a previous episode, Daniel, Merlin destroyed the villain by not believing in her. Neville Goddard has 2 chapters in Your Faith is Your Fortune that highlight this idea. Daniel in the Lion's Den and A Formula for Victory, where he talks about Joshua. Daniel removes his attention from the lion towards the light and he breaks free. Joshua symbolizes you, the reader, your present state. The city of Jericho symbolizes your desire or defined object. The walls of Jericho symbolize the obstacles no one can stop you from. That's quoted from the book. And then she says, dwelling psychologically at any point or in any state in time or place, Joshua, who after psychologically dwelling in the state desired until he received a conscious reaction of victory, did nothing more to bring about this victory than to blow 7 times on the trumpet. Again, from Neville Goddard, Your Faith is Your Fortune. So,
Nice.
Wow. That's a post, huh?
No kidding. Yeah, I mean, it just went, take over the whole live stream there, Josephine. Well done. I like that.
I mean, all right.
Jeffrey did contribute at the end. He said, thank you, Josephine. Love your contributions. So he got his word in.
Back to me. You show up late. You miss a little. You miss a lot.
I tell you. Oh, my goodness. That's why I was stunned. That's why I stopped reading from the article. I'm thinking, oh, my goodness, she's going crazy over there.
There's a whole soliloquy over there.
Yeah, really. So, okay, going back to the article, one of the things that the article mentions, it has a subhead. Well, it has like 3 or 4 subheads about how to, let's see, what's the phrase here? We need to find ways to improve our emotional immune system. Otherwise, we risk the negative effects of secondhand stress. Here's how. The first bullet point, so to speak, is change your response, which is very similar to what you guys were just talking about. Your response is, I'm going to shut you off. I'm going to hang up on you. But there are, of course, lots of ways to change your response. And I think what they were kind of driving at was, changing the meaning of it to something that feels better rather than feels miserable. Mm-hmm. But the second bullet point is really interesting. Create positive antibodies.
Really?
It says we need behaviors that can neutralize the negative effects of a stressed person. Instead of returning a harried coworker's stressed nonverbals with an equally stressed grimace of your own, return it with a smile or a nod of understanding. And suddenly you have the power. As suggested in the book, Broadcasting Happiness, you can create a, quote, power lead, unquote, to short circuit a negative encounter. The first comment in a conversation often predicts the outcome. So that's where they mentioned try to start your phone calls with, not with I'm swamped, but rather it's great to talk with you. So creating positive antibodies, that's an interesting one.
Okay.
And then the next bullet point is build natural immunity. And it says one of the greatest buffers against picking up others' stress is stable and strong self-esteem, something Alex knows a whole lot about. The higher your self-esteem, the more likely you will feel that you can deal with whatever situation you face. If you are finding yourself being impacted by others' moods, stop and remind yourself how things are going well and that you can handle anything that comes your way. Exercise is one of the best ways to build self-esteem because your brain records a victory every time you exercise via endorphins. I think Alex just threw that one to the curb.
They treat it like a physical virus. They're treating the mental virus like a physical virus.
Yeah. Well, that's what the metaphor is.
Anything mental affects you physically, so I can totally see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then finally, last bullet point, inoculate yourself. Inoculate yourself before going to work or stressful environments, which is these days basically when you wake up. For example, before we start our morning, the very first thing we do is think of 3 things we are grateful for that day. Boy, that's something I've forgotten about doing. Yeah, I should be doing more of that. Mm-hmm. They reference a TED Talk. In that TED Talk, you learn 5 positive psychology habits that help inoculate your brain against the negative mindset of others, including writing a 2-minute email praising someone you know, writing down 3 things for which you're grateful, journaling about a positive experience for 2 minutes, doing cardio exercise for 30 minutes, or meditating for just 2 minutes. And I'll bet you I know who did that TED Talk. I'm going to take a little peek here.
Well,
I am going to
say your guess before you look at it.
I think it's.
Say your guess first.
Oh, well, actually, I'm right without even having to check because I just found out who wrote the article. The article was written by Shawn Achor, who is well known for having promoted these ideas about positive psychology, and the TED Talk is his, and that's exactly who I thought it was. So, yeah, no wonder. Shawn Achor actually wrote this with Michelle Gielan of CBS News. But, yeah, it's really important points. In fact, for those who are interested in pursuing some study of positive psychology, particularly in these downtimes when you're kind of at home and you can't really go anywhere. There was a course that was offered at Harvard University when Shawn was there that he actually was one of the grad student supporters of the professor who offered the course. It became the most popular course in Harvard University history, and it was on the positive psychology topic. Well, a similar course was offered in the spring of 2018 by Professor Laurie Santos at Yale University. And the one at Yale had, Yale University, their largest lecture hall seats 600. The particular course, the first time it was offered, had 1,182 people sign up for it.
Whoa.
So a little bit of an overage there. Since then, it took off like wildfire. And since then, she created an online version of it to offer to the rest of the Yale University community and to alumni. That also took off. And so now she's offering it to the world. And you can either take it as a free course, or if you want to get a certification, you can pay $49 for a certification fee. And it got published, I think it was in Inside Business, and I picked it up. I shared it on the Law of Attraction Changed My Life group. A few people have noticed it there, but it is getting huge numbers of people signing up for it. I signed up for it on Monday. When I signed up for it, it had already been signed up by 859,000 people.
Whoa.
In 24 hours, that is up to 1,010,000 people, 150,000 people added in 24 hours. This thing is definitely viral.
Wow.
And it's all about strategies for dealing with things like this, high stress situations, secondhand stress, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it's all about reformulating your brain, rewiring, kind of along the lines of what Daniel does with what he does with his followers on social media and so forth, and his clients. Helping them to rewire their brains for success, for attracting what they want into their lives. And while the positive psychology movement doesn't formally recognize LOA, we're a little bit too woo-woo for them. Nevertheless, I don't think it really matters a whole lot because what they have to offer is so valuable to people like us. You know,
right.
We're conscious creators. We want to learn how to develop that barrier that Daniel was talking about, you know, that ability to just block out that stuff that you do so well, Alex, that you're like our
your mascot.
Poster child, you know, the mascot, right?
Our unicorn of mental defense.
That's right. Yes. That horn can be really vicious, but
It'll stab you through the fence. Don't play.
I tell you.
Okay.
I mean, being hung up on it sounds a whole lot nicer, actually.
Do you remember that episode of Supernatural, Daniel, where the unicorn stabbed the guy through the fence?
Hang on, was that when there were the invisible, the imaginary friends came in?
No, it was the magic Penny Whistle's menagerie, something, magical menagerie.
We'll discuss.
Okay.
Hey, we're used to doing tangents and Alex Jensen, this is, SOP around here. It's not a problem.
But I do agree. I think it's great that people are getting a tool that's in line with where they're at.
Yeah.
We know that universal law can be used to completely change people's experience, even in these dark and interesting times. But people aren't ready to make that leap into the more woo-woo side of things, that they have something that is aligned with where they're at that they can use. For me, it doesn't matter what you call it or what you do, as long as it's serving you and helping you get the outcome of having a more conducive space to start creating outcomes. Because if we're in a state of high beta all the time, this stress, people's energy levels are so palpable, but even those that aren't attuned to feeling energy are picking up and feeling it.
Right.
That says something. This is a very interesting time. And for me, there's a phrase that comes from a modality that I'm actually being certified in called reality transurfing, which is really cool. I might actually invite Renee to come on the show. She's really cool. She's just really, really cool.
Love it.
I will have to tell her about the effing and blinding, though, as we're a daytime show.
What is it? It's reality what?
Reality transurfing. If you check my podcast, I think I've done a podcast episode that introduces the concept of reality transurfing and talks about the basics of it with Renee. She's the person who created it is a Russian guy called Vadim Zeland, and she's got the only YouTube channel that's officially endorsed by him on reality transurfing. And she and I have been doing a cool series of podcasts on it, and I'm being certified on it because it's a really cool modality. And quick tangent, the reason why I was attracted to it initially is because there were so many similarities between reality transurfing and the core principles of Alchemic Life Creation Straight Beyond Intention, albeit Vadim's been downloading this information for a very long time and it's very, very structured. He's got millions and millions of followers. It's been refined and so on and so forth. But there's this phrase and this concept in reality transurfing that I love, that I've included into my daily morning practice, which is my world is taking care of me. Everything is going according to plan. Things are working out beautifully and will continue to do so with ease. My world is taking care of me. And what that invites us to do is it invites us to reframe the experiences that we have as a way that even at this level of consciousness, we're not able to ascertain and know as our world taking care of us. And holding that actually aligns us with the timelines where our world is actually taking care of us. And so from a purely reversal perspective or reframing based on, the ideas that were sharing in the article, just looking for the uplift in this. Okay, I've got some more time to be at home with my family. I've got time to rest. I don't need to deal with the rush of work. Yeah, is there a downside to it? Yeah, of course there is, but that's the polarity of life. But focusing our energy and attention on the parts of the experience that serve and expand us will help to transmute the experience as a whole. So just holding my world is taking care of me, regardless of what it looks like. At this level of consciousness, I can't see it, but my world is taking care of me.
That's really very good. I mean, I wanted us to come up with strategies for dealing with this secondhand stress, and you just listed a beautiful one. Can I actually include that quote in the description for this show?
Because, of course. It's in Vadim's book. Okay. And if you want me to send it to you,
yeah, please,
verbatim, I can do so.
I'd love that.
Reality transurfing is really cool because it bridges law of attraction with very practical ways of doing things.
Right.
And there's a whole face-off between reality transurfing and law of attraction, which I don't think needs to be there, because I feel that reality transurfing is to some extent taking universal law and creating a framework within which it can be directly applied to create your world, which I think is really, really cool. It's one of the reasons why I love it so much. And I think it's a really great way for people that perhaps a little less woo-woo directed and want to be a bit more grounded in what they're doing. They want something a bit practical. Okay, well, here's what you can start doing. Here are some practical things you can do with your mind and with your actions in order to translate an experience that's different from the stress of what we're having into one that actually serves and empowers and expands us instead.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm 100% with you. I don't know who the LOA people are who might be resisting it, but whatever they're doing, I would advise them against it.
Right.
Because, I mean, this is great to be tying in, dude. Don't shy away from this. This is wonderful stuff, you know? Just the idea of, in the midst of all this insanity, taking the time to basically repeat what's like a poetic mantra. That's kind of what that is. Whose sole purpose is to reprogram your mind to think that everything's going to work out okay. That's tremendously powerful. I mean, probably the hardest part is just getting yourself to just say it, you know, but seriously, you know, because we got so much programming going on the other direction. But, you know, if you can do that, that's going to be really super potent. That's like having, you know, your own anti-coronavirus pill just because you just say, okay, you know, I'm going to let all that go and I'm going to replace it with, I'm okay. Things are going well. That's fabulous.
That's what I've been doing.
This is an example of what I call hard stop intentions. And the hard stop intention that I've had for many years is I am manifesting only that which is my highest and greatest good. And I've been holding that one as a hard stop intention. So when I start to feel things overwhelm come up, when I start to feel resentful or resistant, I'm manifesting only that which is my highest and greatest good. I may not see it here at this level of consciousness, but by making that declaration, I align myself to the reality of manifesting my highest and greatest good. The declaration in and of itself doesn't matter. It's claiming it attunes me to that timeline, but I have to hold it.
Yes.
And as I hold it, I can then sit in that timeline, in that life track long enough to allow circumstances to catch up with my vibration and start to reflect the truth of what I've claimed.
It occurs to me also that someone listening in who attempts to do exactly that and then finds that they're having trouble holding on to it, I can see the same kind of reactions coming up that people often give when they are having trouble with, say, meditation. You know, it's like, oh, I can't meditate. My mind just keeps doing all this stuff and I keep having to bring it back and so forth. And then Cindy Chavez likes to point out, good, you're doing it. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. You are supposed to bring your mind back. Congratulations. You are successfully meditating. So the message there being, okay, well, you try it and you find your mind waters. Congratulations for bringing your mind back. That's the whole secret. Keep doing that. And so that you can live in that place, so you can feel it. Because that's really what it comes down to, Daniel. I mean, isn't it? When you're really embracing it, you're feeling it. It's becoming part of what life feels like to you.
I'd agree. You're just grounding the experience in something you've chosen consciously versus what you've been perpetuating unconsciously.
Yeah.
You're choosing the landing pad for the Falcon jet.
I take it you watched a little bit of film I sent you.
Oh, I watched.
Did you like it?
It was really fun.
It was surprising, wasn't it? That something that mundane would be that interesting.
I think I've seen that landing though.
Oh, you had?
Before.
Okay.
I think I saw a clip, not the whole thing, but I saw like a clip around it. Maybe like when it first happened.
Probably.
Like, maybe I saw something about it somewhere because I do like a bit of musky time. But it was akin to like when the NASA launches used to go and everyone used to be, oh my God, it's a launch. Yeah. I was like, okay.
Now we've blown up so much stuff. They're like, yeah, never mind.
We lost the live stream. Oh no. Yay. But it's science fiction is becoming more and more science fact, right?
Actual factuals.
It's actually an exciting thing, I think.
Yeah.
That somebody, I mean, the only thing that's lacking is the transporter pad, really.
We're getting there.
I think they're doing that. I mean, emails, it's data. Once they learn to map our data.
They just have to create the 3D printer for the human being and they'll have the transporter pad.
Well, they're already kind of doing that with simple cells, no?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're 3D printing hearts and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's close.
So we're just a couple organs away.
You watch Altered Carbon, Alex?
I watched one episode, was not a fan.
Season 1 or season 2?
I don't know.
She didn't care, apparently.
No.
I enjoyed.
Yeah. People have been telling me to watch it, and I'm like, that in Black Mirror, and I was like,
No, stay out of Black Mirror. Just don't go into
thank
that world.
God. Okay.
But Altered Carbon, I think, is there's a lot of interesting ideas that are on there.
Give us a taste.
Idea. What was that, sorry?
Give us a taste.
So basically, part of the premise is that they basically designed a way to download human consciousness into a kind of microchip, which they call a stack.
Okay.
So your consciousness exists in the stack, and the stack can be uploaded into human bodies, which they call a sleeve. So what's happened is I don't know how many years in the future, but basically the super rich have backups. They have like wireless backups of their stack consciousness, and then clone their bodies and can have biological upgrades to their body. So basically they have eternal life because there's an upgrade to your data stream, and then your sleeve can be repeated. And it just introduces all of these really interesting ideas because people that don't have much money have to rent a sleeve, for example. So if you kill someone physically, they can rent a sleeve to put your thing into. And it's just really interesting because there's lots of stuff around it, because part of the premise of the first season was the woman who actually invented the stack, who did so just so that humans could explore far parts of the galaxy, started a rebellion which tried to end the use of stacks because she thought that it had been abused. And so there's lots of philosophical things going on from there. There's like a murder mystery in the first episode. There's lots of different layers to it. I think
so
it can get a bit convoluted, but there was a lot of layers to it, and there's enough in there of interesting questions, I think, about the human condition, which my friend Duncan, he's an actor and producer, and he always says, sci-fi is about exploring the human condition. And I think that show really, really invites some interesting questions, which I think you might find interesting to.
Well, I agree with what he says about sci-fi. I think that's the way most sci-fi is written. To me, the best sci-fi, though, is the sci-fi that de-emphasizes the chaos and crisis and emphasizes the cool ideas. That's the sci-fi that sticks with us the most.
Hence your Star Trek love.
Yeah. And well, even Star Wars. I mean, most people I know think about Star Wars in terms of the battle scenes. I know that's like the big thing, but not from my perspective. From my perspective, the cool part is, learning with Yoda about how to be a Jedi. That to me is the really cool part. That's the part that, like, I'd open my eyes like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this in a movie before. This is so cool, So, I mean, they can get all excited about the battle scenes if they want to. I'm sure that people will continue to get all excited about Chaos and Crisis because that's been going on for generations. But for me, the better part of the good sci-fi is, what are the cool ideas? So this idea of stack, of course, that comes from programming. It's pure programmer's language. This idea of downloading your consciousness and uploading it is kind of, I mean, I can see how they're turning that into something that is an actual physical medium, as that's where they're really going with it. But for me, that's more of a great metaphor. That's a metaphor for the practices we talk about here on the show.
Check it out, Walt. I think there might be something interesting for you.
Oh.
Well, it's already interesting. I mean, just because it's doing that. I didn't say I was going to watch it. I'm just saying I like the concept.
Give it a try.
For me, I want to explore the concept. The concept's the fun part.
Give it a try. Maybe the way that they explore the concepts could be interesting to watch, because the second season goes to a different angle on it, which I also found really interesting. It was a very different feel, less convoluted. The second season was much less convoluted. There was less going on. But if you can look past the extra superfluous storylines and just enjoy the explorations that are happening at the core, it's a really, really, really good show. They definitely cleaned up what they did with the second season.
Okay.
Well, that's probably why I didn't like the first.
I'll make a note to check it out. I'll probably wait until after we're past this crazy time, because I don't really, right now I'm just blocking out anything that is craziness. I just want to shut that part down.
This
that part's
is the time
I'm done.
Concentrate on something else.
Do you know what?
Right.
You could even watch the second season independently, I think.
I mean,
looking back, there are some characters that carry over, that there's some like cameo bits that wouldn't really make that much sense, but it's not that great. And it's a much shorter season as well. So I did enjoy the first season because there was lots to it, but there's less texture and more narrative with the second season.
Okay.
So you get to connect with the people a bit more.
Speaking of Star Wars, Walt, have you seen the I don't know the name of the show, and I know I'm getting this wrong, but it's the Baby Yoda show. Have you watched it yet?
I've heard about it. I have not seen anything of it. No.
Mandalorian or something?
Thank you. I knew it started with an M.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Have you seen any of it?
I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I wouldn't even know where to start in that whole situation. But it's on Disney Plus, so.
I haven't seen the most recent Star Wars film because I was traveling whenever it was happening, and I live in a Spanish-speaking country, and I didn't really fancy Spanish subtitles or voiceovers. Yeah. So I
heard.
But I've just seen it's on Amazon now, so I might rent it later.
I have to admit, I lost interest in Star Wars after the first 3 movies because they pretty much ruined it.
I lost interest before it started, so.
Well, you never had interest, so it's kind of hard to lose something that you didn't have in the first place.
Can't lose what you already lost. That's what I'm saying.
Can't lose what you didn't have. You can't have what you didn't find.
Dan's crooning away again. I love it.
What my mom always says when I'm like, Mom, I'm going crazy. And she's like, you can't go where you already are.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mama got that
pretty sharp cookie.
Yeah, she is. Where do you think I get it from?
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
She's a sharp cookie.
She's on fire majority of the time, yes.
Mm-hmm. I am now honored that she took the time to listen to some of our episodes. And if you're listening to this one, we love you. I mean, after that comment, that's great. Fabulous.
Yeah, she's great.
So how about some more strategies? We're in the midst of something where people really need ways to get rid of this secondhand stress and get it out of their lives, replace it with feeling good. And we've come up with some great ones. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love what we've come up with so far. But what else can we give people? There's got to be more we can give them.
I think we need to concentrate on first-hand stress before you start working on your second-hand stress. Like,
okay.
Maybe not start by stopping contributing to the existing stress.
Because then you can, once you get a handle on that, then you can focus on what's being contributed to you.
Mm-hmm. So, name a strategy.
Give me a thinking minute.
Da, 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 da.
Well, now I lost track of what I was thinking of because I'm listening to the song.
The girl from Ipanema Jeopardy. No, this is where you're supposed to be concentrating, not dancing to the song.
See, I lose focus so easily. Okay, hold on. Strategy.
Tell you what, let's go to Daniel. He's always got something handy.
Okay, good.
What's the strategy? You mentioned first-hand stress. So what's the strategy? What's your favorite way to deal with that?
To deal with first-hand stress?
Yeah.
To take a breath long enough to recognize that it probably isn't even real.
Yeah. Talk about that for a minute, because it's so easy to forget in the midst of it that we created it.
I think so. And just breathing long enough to just get a handle on, the thing that I'm stressing about. And this depends on your level of acceptance or your viewpoint on reality, I think. So for me, personally, this is me, someone that accepts the quantum model that we're existing in quanta, is just creating enough space to break my emotional relationship to what is a memory now. By the time you're thinking about it, even if you're thinking about it now, it's already a memory because that now is gone. To create enough space for me to just do that and remember that I made it anyway. And then just find a way to laugh at it. Is that always easy? No, sometimes I have to do some stacking to get to the point of doing that. And that's one of the reasons why I compiled the clearing toolkit that I have. I've been compiling for the last 20 years, which is basically an encyclopedia of modalities that I've researched, tried and tested to get you back to the present moment.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's in my book. It's in the appendix of my book. And they're in the middle of creating a free download from my website of it as well. So Gus and the guys are working on that now. So people will be able to go to dreamingdan.com resources page at the bottom, click the resources, and there's going to be loads of stuff, heart coherence, audio that I made, the money game stuff, all those resources will be there.
Very cool. Right. And I remember you shared that with me, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 months ago, something like that. And it was it was impressive. That was an impressive compendium you got there.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And it continues to be updated as well. As soon as I find out about a new modality and I get the opportunity to test it myself, then I pop it on the list.
Okay.
Very cool. I like that.
Nice.
And I like the fact that you test them all before you put them on. And
Yeah, you're not just writing stuff down.
Yeah, you're not just aggregating stuff. You're saying, okay, I'm putting my name to this. So I want to know this really works before I put it out there, which is very cool. That's good.
And sometimes they don't necessarily group with me, so I let my clients try it and stuff like that. But it gets tested.
Yeah, because everybody's different.
Efficacy. Yeah, and this is what I was going to say about the clearing and about even finding strategies. I think before any of this, people need to build a relationship with themselves where they can actually understand whether something's working or not.
Yes.
Talk about that. What do you mean by a relationship with themselves? I mean, I think I know where you're going with that, but let's kind of make that clear. So,
for example, pretty much every single one of my programs, we have a phase where we test, and I use the clearing toolkit as a basis because obviously I've got an encyclopedia of tools there for people to play with, but they are encouraged to, for a period of time, go through the list and try them and see what works for them. But you need to know who you are showing up to the party to know anything at all. So if I'm trying to test something, but I don't have even enough relationship with silence to even know what my emotional state is and whether it's changed, then how am I going to get anywhere?
Right.
And if I take the time to know where I'm at and what works for me and what doesn't in a general basis, because I've got enough of a relationship with myself to know that, then I can even shortcut which ones I'm going to need to go through. I don't need to go through 5 pages of tools. I can at least build a foundation, say, well, I know that's probably going to appeal to me. That looks similar to something that I'm into. Oh, I like the idea of breathing, or, oh, even the happy song one. Oh, I love music. Okay. So music probably has an effect on your experience. So everything sound related is probably going to be good too. So look at the sound frequency healing. I don't really like the idea of that. Oh, I don't believe in that. That's nonsense to me. There's no point you going to go and do the Reiki one, then it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this is dependent on someone. Oh, I need someone to hold me accountable. Or maybe you need to do something that's got a second party that's involved. Mm-hmm. Having that relationship with yourself will help you to pick through and see which ones will work for you, and maybe even come up with some of your own.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process, this is where I thought you were going, and you didn't, so I'll bring it in. Chalk that one up. Nope, Walt got that one wrong. Forget that. I thought you were going to building up the self-esteem side of that, because when you're doing all those things, that's precisely what's going to happen. You're going to feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're building up confidence in your own ability to find stuff that's helpful and healing for you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I keep a list on my wall for days like today, like yesterday, where, there were times where I was struggling. I keep the list there just for those situations where it's gotten so bad, I can't think of anything to do. To get myself into a better place. So I got my list. I can look at my list. And you mentioned music. Guess what's near the top of the list?
Yep.
Music. In fact, today when I was dealing with stuff and having a hard time, I literally went off and listened to some music. Music, actually, I hadn't heard and listened to in a long time. And it's going to be, by today's standards, it's going to be extremely square. I went to listen to some classical symphonies that I like because they're calming.
Mm-hmm. And it's scientifically demonstrated to change the brain waves.
It does. Yep. Yeah.
And I think when people start understanding the link, the change, should I say, that happens between what we call thought or impulses to what we have as experience, including our physiology and how we're, the stress levels, stress levels is a spike in hormones in the body. The cocktail gets created and we experience physiological symptoms of it. Right. And everyone has different ones. I don't generally feel stress, but I do get physiological symptoms. I do get spots and I get a loss of appetite. And sometimes I lose, I get insomnia, but I won't get debilitating, I'm stressed and I can't do anything. I don't really get that. So I'll be able to function, but then there'll be physiological things that show up for me. So I actually look at my appetite, my sleeping habits, and if I randomly start getting spots and if I'm under stress. Mm-hmm. But that stress started with thoughts that created shifts in my physiology that started to show up with differences that actually showed that I was out of whack hormonally. And that shift, I bring that back into balance. And for me, I think I do Dr. Joe meditations. They work. I do a blessing of the energy centers one, which brings me back into harmony energetically with my energy centers. I then go into my breath work. I double down on my yoga practice. I might do some chanting just to bring me into energetic alignment. I use that to then refocus my thoughts, which creates a positive loop and then changes my physiology and shifts the effects that I have in my physical experience.
Do you have a go-to? I mean, like when my wife is a former psychotherapist, she became a therapist in part because of her own experiences. She was, I can't think what the term is, where you don't eat enough food. There's a word for that.
Anorexic.
Anorexic. She was anorexic. And in the course of learning how to deal with all of that, one of her first advisors suggested to her that she have a safe food. Lots of people, for dieting, for all kinds of stuff, have safe foods. And the idea of a safe food is something that you can make that's really easy to make, that is a comfort food, that feels good to you. And so
all the foods for me.
Well, some people don't have any trouble. Food. Some people have no trouble coming up with a comfort food, but
yeah.
The point that we're talking about here is when you're feeling that stress, when you're feeling overwhelmed and so forth. I'm wondering if, Daniel, you have I know I have one. Do you have like a go-to, like nothing else is really resonating, but there's this one thing I will always go to that always helps calm me, that always helps me feel good? Do you have a go-to like that?
I've got a few for me that I find to be really effective. And one of them is the most simple. Like if I find overwhelm, which is something I do experience, I do get overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. It's just changing my physiology, deep breaths, and then getting into heart coherence, the basic level of heart coherence by focusing my attention in the center of my chest, taking nice deep breaths in, count to 4, hold, release, and stay empty. Because no matter what's going on, I can shift my physiology, straighten my back. I can take a few deep breaths and I can shift that. And that normally creates enough space for me to see the truth of what's going on. Dude, you created this. What do you need to do to let go of the attachment to the payoff of still resonating that frequency? And how do you really want to feel now? Beyond intention, accept, clear, gratitude, listen. But it starts with disruption.
And that breathing pattern you described makes total sense, because whenever we are in a high stress situation or experiencing secondhand stress or dealing with something where we're just in that negative vortex, invariably, I don't think there's ever an exception to this, invariably our breath has gotten short. If we're breathing at all, or maybe we're taking these little tiny breaths just to keep from collapsing, but we're never in a deep breathing scenario.
Because that's high beta. And I think it's once people, and this is one of the things like with the flow funnel, like another level to it. Once you start layering this all together, every single one of these emotional experiences has a physiological and an energetic, like a metaphysical counterpart to it happening.
Right. Yeah, it does.
So stress, you've got physiological things going on. Energetically, you're going to be out of whack. And then physiologically in the brain, things are coming, they're out of sync. So you can start to line these up and to look for whichever one of them that you can access with the most ease. So for some people that, for example, more woo-woo, maybe it's going to be the spiritual side of it. And, I can line up my chakras. You can visualize lining your chakras up. That's going to give you a footing enough for you to then start thinking about your physiology. Okay, breath. And then I can come out of high beta and now I'm in a different state of being. Now I can start making different choices and move forward and do something else. But it does, I feel, and this is my consensus, that the shifts will happen, and at least happen more effectively, when you do start remembering and recognizing I am not just some energy centers or chakras. I'm not just brain waves. I'm not just breathing. I am a holistic being operating on different levels of density that has all of these things going on.
Which is ultimately the goal of all these strategies anyway, is to reconnect with that primary thought. I am. That's really, that's where all of this starts. It starts with I am, and it returns to I am. And the more that we do that, the more that we return to I am, who I am, and just focusing on that, however way we do it, it's going to calm. It's going to feel good, because if there's anything that we know more than anything else, it's that I am. There really isn't anything that we know better than that, is there? I don't think there is.
No.
No.
Not really. So, Good stuff here. Hey, by the way, I want to remind people who are not yet subscribers to the podcast, this is what we give you. We give you all kinds of great stuff like this every single day, 5 days a week. And most of you are subscribers. We love our subscribers so much. I mean, I'm telling you, I keep saying that over and over again because it's true. I am just thrilled by the number of people who are subscribed and listening to the podcast, and that number is growing every day. But for those of you who haven't yet clicked that button to be a permanent subscriber, or maybe you did click it, you just aren't visiting the show very often, come back more often. This is good stuff. This is stuff that picks you up. This is stuff that feels good. This is stuff that gives you Daniel doing the hang-up dance. I mean, this is stuff that gets you going. There he is doing it again. So become a subscriber. So simple to do. Just go to the homepage of our website, loatoday.net. At the top of the page, click the link. In Daniel's case, it was 1 click. Some people it's 2 or 3, but hey, it's not that much. This is not taking a whole lot of time out of your day. And then you're subscribed. All of the episodes are coming right to your device as we publish them 5 days a week. And you are getting your daily dose of happy. And oh, by the way, you also get to see us. I mean, Alex was making kind of a big deal before the show about the fact that I now have a background behind me. I'm following Louis D'Souza's lead on this because he's been showing like a moving beach scene behind him. So I figured, well,
I'm moving.
Oh, his moves. Yeah, he's got an actual video playing back there.
Oh, well, then you're not so fancy.
I know, but you but this is micro-shifting. This is micro-shifting at its finest. You move one step at a time.
True,
so this is a big step I took. I've got the green screen up, and I got, this planet with the sunrise behind it, So.
You've got a very, very clean background as well, Mr. Walt. Some people's are a bit fuzzy and fake, and it looks like when they move, but yours is very good quality.
Yeah, I really feel like I'm talking to him in a spaceship.
I actually have a real green screen behind me, so it's easier for the camera to discern me from the background. Whereas Louis uses a virtual green screen. There's no actual green screen behind him. So the camera and the software are trying to work against itself, basically, and that's why he gets all this
I'm getting a real one like you.
Yeah, so really good stuff.
Same.
But anyway, you'll never see that if you aren't subscribed on YouTube. So Alex, tell people how to subscribe on YouTube.
Well, here's what you do. You go to YouTube, search LOA Today podcast videos, and once you see our smiling faces, you can click down below to the red subscribe button. Next to the red subscribe button, there's a little silver bell. Click that silver bell and make sure you click all so you will always be notified when we're live.
I swear to God, she's our Vanna. I mean, she does it so beautifully.
Remember the first time I did it? That was crazy, right?
It was wonderful.
I haven't changed it since.
Well, why would you want to change something that works? I mean, it works beautifully.
They call me One Take Alex. I don't play, yo.
All right, I guess that makes me Mr. DeVille. So, all right, that's fine. All right, so we got 2 minutes left. We got to give people one last thought. What should they take with them in terms of the overall question we've been addressing for today? How to overcome secondhand stress? If they're going to forget everything else and remember one thing? What's the one thing that you want them to remember, Alex? What's the one takeaway you want?
Stop worrying about your outside sources, and distraction is key.
Very simple. I like that. Mm-hmm. Daniel, I always go to you last because you're like my cleanup hitter on this. You're the one who drives the ball out of the park. So what's the final takeaway? What's the one thing that what people want to remember when thinking about how do I deal with all this crazy secondhand stress I'm dealing with?
There is no such thing as secondhand stress. It's all first-hand stress.
Say it again for the people in the back.
No such thing as secondhand stress. It's all first-hand stress. And if you bring the power back by making it about what you're putting out and then receiving back as a reflection of what you put out in the first place, step in, get clear and come back to the now and realize that none of it's going to last anyway. None of us are going to lose alive.
And there it goes, deep to left field. It's way back. It is going. It is gone. He has hit it out of the park, ladies and gentlemen. Good, guys. Really good. I love it very much. So thank you so much for all of your insights. Thank you, Alex, especially for the unicorn headphones. We couldn't live without them. It's fabulous. Thank you, Daniel, for the telephone dance. We have a new dance to add to the repertoire. It's fabulous. There it is. It's going to take over. It's sweeping the world. Thank you, live streamers. Thank you for your ongoing thing there, Josephine. That was fabulous. That was great, including that. Thank you especially to our podcast listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.